once in a while we have people who show up at the DYM office and sit in for some crazy reason, and Matt takes it a little over the top.
He does.
Yeah, he showboats.
He's a showboater.
Why don't you give an example of that? Because I think you're just making things up.
Oh, if anybody's listened to the show, let's do this by show of hands. People in the live audience, how many of you have listened to our show, or you're regulars? All right, how many of you have no idea what you're doing here or what this is? Just
that,
you
guys
are
we feel your hands, we don't either.
So, here's the deal. I'm actually kind of surprised you're still here. You must have known there was free cookies because
from APU.
We got free cookies.
The deal.
That's so downhill from last year. We had pizza, lasagna.
Here's the
hostile,
deal.
hostility.
Wedding cake.
We also had a crowd last year. Okay, what happened? Okay. Half of these people that are in here are on Katie's staff. Okay,
that's true.
Love you guys.
Hey, let's talk. For those of you that don't know, here's the deal. And for those of you that are regulars, it's just a little revisionist history. Matt and Josh and I were at lunch one day, and actually it was kind of at the beginning era of podcasting. I had never heard of it before, right? Which, surprise, surprise, because I'm usually on top of technology. And
plug in the printer. Just plug in the printer.
And so, which one of you guys brought it up?
No, it was Andy Brazelton.
Oh yeah, Andy brought it up. He was talking about it, and we said, "All right,
Daddy Brazel bucks."
And we did it the next day, and it was episode 00.
And we did that to hide in case it was so bad we didn't want to ever do a real show.
Yeah, we had a little red MP3 player that was like, I think it was Sony, and we just put it in the middle of the table, recorded it, and ever since then it's been downhill.
Well, that was the peak of technology right there. Trivia question: what type of food were we having that day?
Thai food.
No, Indian food.
Indian food. That's correct.
Goodness
Here's
gracious.
the deal that most people don't know.
Do you even love us anymore?
When I go out to lunch with both of you, I barely get to eat off my plate. I drop my napkin, I come up, and my plate's
earlier
gone.
today you said that sarcasm was the lowest form of humor. I think fat humor is the lowest form. I'm just saying, you need to add a new slide in your speaking chops.
And just for the record, it was a buffet, so you
Right,
can eat some more
exactly.
food. You're fine.
Anyway, that's the way it started. And let's tell a little bit of the story. We thought, how can you do a youth ministry podcast? Because we had all worked together.
Am I supposed to look at you or look at them? I don't know what I'm supposed
Look
to
at the
do.
camera. That's what I do.
Well, Matt, you would know that if you watch the show. Matt's the only, or Josh's the only one who looks at the camera. The
That's
rest
because
of
I
us-
care about our audience. I care about our teammates, our friends, and I want to be on Santa's nice list right there.
Okay.
Santa. I've been good this year.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So we said let's start this podcast. We can answer youth ministry questions, but it can't just be the three guys.
That's right.
We need a strong female perspective.
Yes.
And so at the time, we were all working with Simply Youth Ministry, which was a youth ministry organization that Kathy Fields and I started in our garage many years ago. And then
lives count.
that was what it was called before, and before that it was called Making Lives Count. So, and someone just ran off the treadmill and listening to this. And so we said we need a strong female presence. And the graphic designer in our office, her name is Natalie Johnson.
Yeah.
She was a pastor's kid, and she grew up in a youth ministry. She said, well,
She grew up in a youth
ministry. She's
You had a
Christian.
mother?
She was in ministry, kind of, and she grew up in a youth group. And she was wonderful. She
did a
fun.
great job.
The problem is she knew nothing about youth ministry.
Nope.
And so then what we did is we begged Jana. Jana, go ahead and stand up.
Oh yeah, Jan's actually here with us tonight. Special guest, former podcast crew.
Jana was on our staff, and Jana is very wise. She's godly. She's wonderful. She's got great youth ministry experience. And we invited her to be a part of it. She did not like it. She was always mad when it was put on the calendar.
Yeah.
She came kind of
Considered
kicking.
a total waste of time.
She came kicking and screaming. But she was excellent. And then she, like Matt has done now, she fell outside of God's will and moved away from us into Washington. And one of my favorite moments, and you guys be thinking about your favorite moments, one of my favorite moments is that we were doing the show live at the Simply Youth Ministry Conference.
2 years ago? 3 years ago?
2004.
No, it was more than 3 because I've been gone for 3 years. It was like 5 years ago,
Okay.
4 years ago. And
And
we
we
were trying to
announced-
court Katie. Katie's junior high pastor at Saddleback. She's very, very sharp. She's a better leader than all three of us males combined. And I was trying to talk her into being in the show, and I texted her live from the show. Can I make an announcement? Are you yes or you no?
Totally putting her on the spot.
And she came back with a yes, and it just changed the direction of the show.
Change the course of youth ministry forever.
So,
I don't want
question
to say that she's better than Jana.
I think that's what you're saying.
She's
She was better than Jana.
I'm not
She's
better
a
than
little bit
Jana.
better than Jana.
She's I wouldn't say she's better than Jana.
What would
She
you
is
say? This much better.
I'd say
I
she's
love you, though.
better. She's better than Jana. She's just more experienced than Jana.
She just has wiser things to say and is a little bit more articulate.
And here's the thing, Josh.
Jana and I love each other.
Josh, here's the other thing. She didn't move away from us.
That's right. She stayed.
So it's
wait,
the three of us.
That's right.
For
And
those of you that
tonight,
don't know, Matt this week accepted a job about 4 hours away from us.
is this Matt's last show?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's news to me.
No, here's the thing. Now, just like we replaced Jana with Katie when she moved away, are we going to replace Matt tonight with someone in the crowd? Who are you going to text? Who are you going to text,
I'm a
Fields?
volunteer. That's exciting.
Well, we got
yes.
Brian Barry sitting in the back. He's in San Diego. That's about 2 hours away.
San Diego's close.
Train up.
my way, bro.
Couldn't hear you. Weren't loud enough.
The good news is we can save money on microphones because he's not
I
going to
saw
need
that.
them.
Yeah, you can just call it in. Eric Upton's clever, and he's from where?
Up here, dude.
Yeah,
Sacramento?
Far away.
Oh,
That's about as far away as Matt. Parker. Okay, trivia question. How does Parker, first person to stand up? I have a youth specialties.
Oh, hell.
Download media card. First person to say how Parker has made his way into the web show standing up. How is it? Well, what else does he do?
Yeah, what is he known for? And by known for, I mean...
Condom stories. That is true.
Yeah, give it to her.
That's super true.
great.
No, he's kind of more recently. It's a little.
I'm with you.
It's a little secretive and obnoxious.
You want this bottle of water as your prize? Because that's I got.
Can we relax?
You got Doug's phone.
What do you got? Oh no, that's just because he kisses Josh's mother.
Smart man.
No, if you notice, if you watch it on video, Parker takes his face and he slices his face in and covers our face at different parts of the video podcast. So as much as I want to give this to you, I'm going to save it. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for that answer.
What? Maybe we should text Jana and see if she wants to run the show from now on. Can we bring Jana back?
Josh, this could be your last show.
Sorry, you got canceled.
All right, so one of the things we've got questions tonight. We have giveaways tonight.
We have pizza?
We don't have pizza.
We have more cookies, though. If you want another cookie, go ahead.
And the cookies, by the way, here's the deal. First person to stand up that could tell us all of our sponsors, I will give this to.
Oh, wow.
First person to stand up.
Do it.
Okay, go.
Yes.
APU.
That's the most important.
Leader Trex.
Yeah.
YS.
Keep going.
You got this.
Nicely done. Industry
so
360.
good.
All right. Here you
Very
go.
good.
Download media card.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Clareville, not clairvoyant, and I'm from Oxnard, California.
Oxnard.
That's good. We call that the ghetto of Southern California. Yes, that's great. So you're a regular then.
Wow.
All right. Well, one of our primary sponsors, Azusa Pacific University, actually paid for the cookies.
It's just slow clapping for them, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you, APU, Azusa Pacific.
And here's the deal about sponsors.
We lost our first.
Losing the first
Lost
guy.
our
See you
first guy.
tomorrow. It's okay.
And get a cookie
Get a
from
cookie.
Azusa Pacific
He
University.
definitely-
That's right. Hey, that's okay. People turn off the show all the time.
Yeah, usually about
we just
now.
don't see it.
Usually about now.
Yeah.
You know, I have to admit, it hurts more than I thought it would.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Back at the cookies with the slacker who's leaving.
He's back in.
you are gonna
He's
be
back
back
in. He's back in.
And we're back. We're
I
back.
think
All
you
right.
should pass cookies out.
That's what guilt does. Azusa Pacific has a master's in youth ministry. If you want to pick up information in the back. Also, any of you not married yet? Let me see in your hands. You're not married? All right,
Oh,
fabulous.
hey, we're going to do some matchmaking tonight.
You're an audience to right
Speed
now
dating.
getting ready for marriage. This is a brand new book out by Jim Burns and Doug Fields.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, brand new.
Oh, wow.
And just to let you know about this book, we have a workbook coming out in a couple of weeks, and I asked Matt to read it. And Matt, how was that workbook?
I read it.
You did not.
I did too.
You read half of it. You gave up.
I read half.
Yeah.
I was on vacation. My mentor modeled to me that you don't work on vacation. He gave me about 2 days.
It wasn't
to
work,
read
it was friendship. This wasn't part of your job.
That's what you called it.
No, I understand why you're moving to Pismo.
Absolutely.
So here's the deal. I'm going to
It
give
took
this.
me 2 days to read half of it because I think you were the one who actually wrote it, right? I mean, so it just needed to be cleaned up quite a bit.
Kind of dry, tough to get through.
Yeah.
Like outlooks.
Like Matt's talks. All right. So, single. Is anybody single and engaged? Single but engaged.
Single but
All right.
engaged.
What's your name?
Oh.
Janet, come on up here. You get it.
Single but engaged? Is that a thing? Can you be single?
Yeah, you can't be married and engaged.
But if you're engaged, you're not single anymore. You're betrothed.
you're on
Well,
your
you
way to
have to be
marriage.
single if you're
Yeah.
engaged.
Congratulations!
Wow.
awesome.
Congratulations. Here you go. It's called Getting Ready for Marriage.
It's going to take
Read
about
that.
1 week to
12
get
hours
ready.
to get through that thing.
Yeah.
So good
And
luck.
here's
Wow.
also a
Workbook.
flyer in the back for an online tool. You get to watch videos to help you get married.
That feels weird.
You're welcome.
What's the
Yeah,
same you use
it's not
stuff
even-
into?
Most people right now would be like, thank you. Thank you. I needed this.
Yeah.
My marriage.
Yeah.
Where are you guys going away on your honeymoon?
Going to the Caribbean on a cruise.
Wow.
Hey, there you
All
go.
right. Okay, this is how committed Matt is to youth ministry. Matt got married how many years ago?
19-ish.
Has it been that long?
That's how old I am.
Wow.
You're
Matt,
19.
Matt got married on a Saturday, and the next Sunday, the following day, I asked him if he'd call into the youth group, and we put him over the phone.
It was beautiful.
Speaker
I was
phone.
working on vacation.
I
What's
know.
happening?
What's that all about? That was a
Yeah.
great
You
bit.
need a new mentor.
I think I'm going to find one at Pismo.
Congratulations. If you want information about Azusa, buy the cookies back there. They didn't buy the cookies because they think you're cool. They bought the cookies because they want you to pick this up. All right, as do I. They are great. One of our great sponsors. We want to talk to you about the Masters program, which is about time, Matt. You move. You ought to get a Masters.
That's one of the reasons why I am moving.
Okay.
There you go.
Master's program. Also, there's information on Mexicali mission trips and many other things back there.
Many other things.
Yeah, many other things.
Many other things. Can you name one of those many other things?
Philippines trips.
I don't know. Eddie, what am I missing? Got it?
Thumbs up.
Got it? Who doesn't?
Eddie's here. What's
Joe,
going
take a
on?
look at it. Who does not have their Masters? Raise your hand. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
my goodness.
Here's the deal.
Joe, you never graduated from high
Joe, you
school.
stand
Just
up.
quick show.
Okay, Joe, if you would like to get a free Masters, okay, free Masters, talk to Joe.
Somebody
Free
pick Joe up
Masters
off
in
the
Youth
floor.
Ministry.
What?
And it's,
You can just do that.
well,
Your face is on the flyer, so you get to do
You
that?
just scholarship.
no. What I meant by free is free information. Did I say free Masters?
No, you said free information.
You're like the Oprah of master's degrees right now. You get a youth ministry degree. You get a youth ministry degree.
Hey, by the way, Eric, use your mic. You're in the Masters program.
True story.
You're part of it from this, right?
Yeah. Are you
All
still,
right, that
are you still
away.
giving out the free masters programs?
No, I meant free information. If I say free Masters,
That's right.
There's a significant difference between free masters,
And free information.
free information.
Yeah.
Send you a piece of paper
Assistant
or a
director.
diploma.
Yeah.
Assistant to the director.
All right.
Very close.
Is Ryan Wilden in here? Where's
Ryan?
Ryan? Ryan. Okay, Ryan sent in an email. It says, Doug, earlier today at the Idea Lab, your wife was asked how she supports you in youth ministry. My wife and I are both volunteers in youth ministry, so my question is, what and how do you support your wife? I'd like to be better at it, so any tools and ideas would be great. What do you think about that?
I like that. That's a good question. I think we should let Matt drone on and on about it for a little while.
Well, this is fun with live. So, you said you're both volunteers. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Just like 5 sentences. Like, do you both have the same role? Are you the one running it?
Yeah, this is real good for our audience, Matt, that's listening, the thousands that downloaded from iTunes.
John, you'll repeat the question.
Let's wait
Here,
till...
microphone's coming right now.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Eric Upton, who's getting his master's from Azusa Pacific
Azusa.
University.
Free for everybody. Free for all.
free.
Tonight only.
It's free until the bill comes, but it's actually, if you're
You
gonna...
got the free information?
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah, both my wife and I have been involved in youth ministry. I've been involved since I was 18, and we got married when I was 20, and we've both been involved really heavily for the past 7 years, volunteering, and mostly high school, but some junior high, and she's been very, very supportive of me, even when it wasn't her calling, and now that we're both, greatly involved in the ministry, I just want to, make sure that I'm as supportive to her as she was to me.
That's good. That's good. All right, Katie, how do you answer that?
Well, I mean, I think for my husband and I, it's been when we first got married, we were both, he was volunteer and I was on our staff, and I did junior high and he did high school. So I think for us, it was just kind of being cheerleaders in each other's areas, which was really cool, and really just being thoughtful about asking him, hey, tell me about what's happening in your ministry, and tell me about the students that you're working with, and just being really intentional about questions for him. Now, he's stepped away from our youth ministry and is playing a different kind of a role, is being super supportive and praying and stepping in when needed and things like that, and being with our kids when I have youth ministry stuff going on. But I'm still equally as thoughtful about, hey, what's happening in your ministry and what's God doing in your life, and because he has ministry even though it's not connected to our youth at the church, he's still doing great ministry. So I think for him, that's what he needs, and I think that's a big question too, is asking your wife, what do you need to feel supported? How are you encouraged? How can I love on you? I think that's a really direct, honest question that, hopefully she'll give you a really great, direct response, and then you can respond and express, so.
I think a great gift that you can give your spouse, and especially as things change, is the freedom to change. So when my wife and I first started ministry, she was my partner. We did everything together, side by side, and we were like in this thing together. And then over
now
time,
that you're separated.
now we went through kind of a rough spot. No, now,
single and engaged.
now we're still happily married 18 years later. And what I love about it is that we've had to kind of have some give and take. So as she had, we had children, 1 kid we make it work, 2 it starts to get more complicated, 3 her role in youth ministry has changed. And I think a great gift that you can give your spouse is freedom. If their passions change, their calling change, their life stage changes, there's a little bit of mourning. And I think, it's like, man, we used to do everything together. We did ministry and life, and now I'm kind of all alone or whatever. But a great gift of support is the freedom to not do youth ministry the way that we've always done it. So be supportive even when they're not in the trenches with you side by side.
That's good. And before Matt answers, let's go to the next question. Jared, is Jared Furs in here? Where's Jared? And by the way, by the way, go ahead and send your questions to webshow@downloadyouthministry.com. I have some in case you don't want to send any in. They're ones that have been sent in by people.
But we'd rather answer questions from people
from
here
the live.
I like that
That's right.
idea. I like that idea. Jared says, hey, first time, long time.
Welcome, Jared.
Jared.
Please don't use
Usually
my name.
when we mock people's questions, they're not here. Hey, first time, long time.
Yeah, well, don't mock the question, because then no one else is going to want to send something in.
Yeah, Jared.
Well,
Jared
maybe if
hasn't
somebody
even,
sends it in, they'd actually articulate what they're trying to
Jared
say.
hasn't even acknowledged he's even here.
No, I'd like to pick on Jared because he left from the front to go sit in the back.
Incarnational podcast is what we
I
need to
think
do.
it's going to be a great question.
He says, hey, here's what he says. Hey, sorry you got fired, Matt.
Oh.
See, for the few of you that haven't been a part of it, Matt was,
My position was terminated.
your position was terminated.
Is that how they spun it?
My favorite.
Actually, they said I resigned. And because of that, we've been saying people that get their questions, if they say, hey, Matt, sorry you got canned, your question goes to the top. Yeah, and so Eric back there, the one who's getting the master's in youth ministry at Azusa, which is really, we were scouting the room to see who could do the microphone running around with them. Let's go for the guy with the master's. He put together shirts, and that shirt says, No, that's not the sorry you got cancer.
I don't have opinions, just truth.
Yeah, somebody else said that on the podcast.
So Jared says this, hey, sorry you got fired, Matt, and sorry your coach got fired. Oh yeah, you're a Raiders fan.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Sort of.
Yeah.
This isn't a velour tracksuit like we had at another live show.
Yeah.
This is a good look. This is a good look you got going.
This is as close as I got.
Don't let anybody tell you.
Hey, I've got some more giveaways. When you say velour tracksuit, let's reward some longtime people here who might have some podcast trivia.
Favorite memories. Okay, good.
Okay. How do you handle your relationship when it comes to you and your boss and standing up for your ministry? What do you feel is a good reason to step out because that relationship has gone south? Oh, it sounds like a question for Matt.
Some of the more sensitive people in the crowd are really hurting from that
it
right now.
depends on how mentally
It's
strong
okay.
your boss
There's
is, really.
Only the people that haven't listened to the show.
That's true. There's a couple people that are like wincing, but they're also smiling. So I think we're okay. Oh, that hurts, but that was really funny. Okay, go, man.
Really? You want me to take this one first?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not. No one's ever accused me of being very diplomatic. So that's an understatement.
Yeah.
If there ever one, maybe they need to have a new T-shirt that says "I'm not a diplomat." But I mean,
As a matter of fact, Azusa Pacific University didn't accept Matt into the program.
Fun fact.
that humor doesn't work.
It had nothing to do with
Oh, you're right. No, I mean, here's my thing. I mean, for all of the way that I do ministry and do life and work with people is, I mean, to me, it is relationships, and I treat people like they're my friends, and I don't consider there to be this line between, well, this is my work life, and this is my personal life, and this is, the kids' school, or whatever else is going on. Like, to me, it's like, you're either a really good friend or you're the potential to be a good friend, and so that's how I operate. That's how I view things. And so, for me, I mean, I had, Doug was my boss for the longest time, and that worked out great for me. Not so much for you. I mean, it gave me some gray hairs, but I mean, for me, I always the freedom to ask questions and to push and to, hey, well, what about this, and why are you doing that? I mean, we had a relationship that when you were my boss that was really unique. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, here's a guy who was my hero as my youth pastor and became my friend when I was in college, and when he was my boss, well, he was still my friend and still my hero. And so there was a lot of communication. I mean, way more communication than most people have with their bosses, and probably more communication than you ever would have wanted. That's why I'm going to Pismo. We don't have to talk so much anymore. But that's
Way to turn the knife on friendship.
if we don't laugh. A couple years later, in a couple different situations, I had a different boss at Saddleback, and we had known each other for years, and we were friends. That friendship thing started, and there was just times when I would say, like, man, it doesn't seem like you should be working here anymore, and I wasn't like accusing, and I wasn't sarcastic, and I wasn't like being critical and attacking, but it was just more like, man, are you sure you should still be here? And then, afterwards, like I'm talking to Denise, my wife, or, and I kind of ran that through a few people, and they're like, you said that to your boss? Like, who says that to your boss? Like, you don't tell your boss they shouldn't work at that place where you're working. And my thing is, well, if the guy hates his life, like, why should he keep hating his life? Like, I think that he should move on. So that is where...
Just as a reminder, Matt's not a diplomat. There's a workshop on being political.
No, and there's a reason you've been fired several times.
Yeah, so there you go. And and then in the situation that we're all talking about, which my life is an open book, I mean, we just talk about things that are serious and things that are silly. But my 2 years at Mariners Church there's a lot of things that were really great about that. And there was a lot of conversations that I had with my boss there that were really good. And they would tell you that they were really good too. It wasn't a fit. I was too much... jerk's not the right word.
No, jerk's the right word.
Okay.
Actually, the
But
church
I pushed it too much.
the church that Matt is going to now, the senior pastor called me last week, and you know, he asked for a reference, and I told my wife I'd really like to sabotage this and play God.
Thank you
and say,
for
do
having
not hire
integrity.
this guy. But I said, what you need to know about Matt is what you see is what you get. He's very direct, and if he can't handle direct, he's not the right guy. And Matt doesn't play church politics, and that has hurt him in some situations. When he worked for me, I could say, well, you know, I could cover for him. I could say, well, you don't really understand. You know, he's got some special needs, and I
Worked for a long time. It was really good.
I could cover. But you know, I think to answer one of the answers to your questions, Jared, is when does it come to standing up for your ministry? My feeling about those of us in leadership positions is that there is nobody who's to care for your ministry more than you're to care for your ministry. So if you're the lead youth worker and you're not standing up for your ministry, nobody else will.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thanks, Coach. So you know, I think when is the right
That's
time
all I
to
was
stand up for your
doing.
ministry? If you are the lead youth worker, that's your job to stand up for the ministry, and even to the senior leader. That's why he or she hired you. So I think it's time when you think it is being overlooked or.
But you can't. The lesson I had to learn, and it would be debatable as whether I learned it or not, is that you can't fight every battle. I mean, you pick the battles that you fight. You have always picked the battles that you fight.
I actually was thinking of those exact words. You have to just pick the battles that are worth fighting. And I think there are times where I want to well up with some kind of like righteous anger and defend that this ministry shouldn't use my youth room on that night because it's our youth room and don't. And that's not a battle that I need to fight. There are some way more important things that I need to just roll over on this one and let it's okay.
Yeah.
But don't fight every battle. They're not worth fighting. If you do, I think you already put yourself in jeopardy right away. This is the person who's too overprotective for their ministry. This is the person who hoards all the resources.
Player.
This is the person who's not a team player, etc. So I think it comes with some discernment and honestly some experience, because I think early on, as a young youth worker, I'm like, this is our youth ministry and nothing else matters in our church. And that is foolish and naive and political disaster waiting to happen. The youth ministry is part of the church. I'm all for it. Be the leader, be the champion, all that.
Right.
But also, man, do not fight every battle or you will be the job.
All right, we got a question from Monty McCauley. Where are you, Monty? All right,
Monty.
Monty.
Double hand
Raise.
Monty says, "Hey Matt, sorry you got canned."
Oh man, let it go.
Oh, let
No,
it.
but then he
just sit
says,
there.
here's the pastor in him. Glad you got hired.
Oh, way to go.
That's really nice.
In some episodes, I've heard about how Katie really takes care of her volunteers. What are some ideas I can use to show appreciation to the volunteers in our youth ministry? 3, 2, 1, Katie.
I do love volunteers. I think it's such a fun part of our ministry. And really, as a younger youth worker, it was something that I don't think I grasped super well, but understanding that if I really want to reach the junior hires in our community, I really have to figure out how to multiply myself. And once I multiply myself, you know, people really don't hang around if you don't care for them and love on them and pastor them. And so really volunteers has become equally as important to me as our students, which I know feels weird because most of us get into ministry, youth ministry, because we love students, but the volunteer piece, being alongside of people who are like-minded and love students is so energizing and so exciting to be in a room, I mean, just like this with all of you guys. All of us in it together, reaching our community, which is so fun. So, you know, the way that I pour in and love my students, I have that same energy that I pour in and love my volunteers with. So, little things like remembering birthdays and anniversaries and life events and surgeries and things like that, I program everything in my phone. So I like live and die by my calendar. It has updates and little things that remind me. Technology has made loving volunteers really fun and simple and easy, because shooting a quick text before, you know, I know somebody's doing something big,
You can just get
it
a
means the
robot
world
to
to
do
them.
that for you.
Totally, yes. I think too, coming together as family is big. So we do meals together. You know, I love being around the dinner table with volunteers. That's my favorite. So sharing stories, pouring into people, coaching and training over, around a table just like this, I love. So any chance we get to pull our volunteers together to be face-to-face with them, to do life with them, to coach and train and equip and those things too. I think encouraging them and continuing to pour into them is what creates a team of longevity. So you can train them a ton, and training is great, but I think the way that you love them and encourage them, that's why they'll stay with you for the long haul. We have some volunteers who have been in our ministry for 10, 15. I have a volunteer who's been with me for 25 years. Well, not with me, he was there before me. But he's been on our junior high team for 25 years, which is awesome. And he would say he likes junior hires a ton and likes doing youth ministry, but he loves being part of the team. And because the team feels like family. So retreat, meals, pouring into them the way that you pour into your students, I think is what yields a great team. So.
And thank you, people. That's
yes, gratefulness.
You can't thank your volunteers enough. That's great. Hey, where's our electrician from Vegas? Oh, there he is, right up front. Hey, let's so here's the story. He's at episode what? He's episode 136. He's never watched a show.
Yeah.
Eric, why don't you get the mic to him?
Please.
He's never.
And as a volunteer, we'd like to thank you for that.
Yeah. Eric, have I mentioned that Eric's getting his master's at Azusa Pacific University, and Joe is in the back, and so there's information by the cookies if you'd like to. Yeah, the information is free. The master's has a slight surcharge. So, and remind me your name. Dan. Dan is an electrician, so I meet him yesterday, and he says, I've watched I listened to 137 episodes while I do my work. I've gone from 00 to 137. I've never seen any of you guys. Don't have any idea what he looks like. He told me I sounded like I looked like Morgan Spurlock.
Does anybody even know who that is?
Yeah, Supersize Me. Yeah, it looks like a serial killer. Thanks.
You certainly sound like that.
And then I pointed over to Matt, and I said, that's Matt Miguel, and his eyes got really big, and he goes, oh, you guys make him sound so big. Yeah.
That's a compliment, right? Or is that not a compliment?
I don't know. And then what do you think of the show now that you've seen us?
Yeah. How underwhelmed are you?
Yeah.
Describe it in voltage.
I love this. There it is. That's it. Shows up. Drop the mic, Matt. Drop it. We can't do better. Just drop it.
Electrician humor is the lowest form of humor.
So tell us about at episode 137. Has Katie joined the show yet?
Yeah, she's about 4 episodes in right now.
Wow.
So it's just
still getting her feet wet.
right?
You joined
1:30.
Chicago?
Yeah.
I believe that's when the text message actually went out.
What's one thing you remember from all those shows since you've just been listening to them?
Well, the dodgeball.com.
Yeah, there you go. Cha-ching. The true story, when we were talking earlier, he said,
Don't go to more than
I listened to 137 shows. It's just so boring. And I was like, thank you? And then he said, no, my job is so boring. So that's why I listen to the show. I was okay.
Seriously.
It's nice to meet you, Dan.
It's not boring. I have 8 to 10 hours.
So, how you feeling about, how's Katie doing on the first 4 shows?
It's good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was like right when you were getting excited about Jana, she bails and moves.
Yeah.
Right.
She's no Jana, but she does all right.
Let's let them talk, guys.
Brazel naked.
Who saw Brazel naked?
That is
Jana.
a great story. The Brazel naked story.
Jana saw Brazel naked. That's right.
We were. Okay, let's tell the story.
Yeah.
We're on a mission trip. And Jana walks into a tent. And the guy's name is Andy Brazelton, who used to be the producer of our show. He's kind of like the Parker, just not as creepy. And,
gosh.
He walks into the tent and saw Andy naked. That's the story.
But
She
the
mistook
story
his
is
tent
she's
for her tent.
yelling at him like, "Get out of here! What are you doing in my tent? Get out of here!" And of course, Brazel is very embarrassed. I mean, his leader has now seen and she went into the wrong tent, and so it was totally on her. She went into the wrong tent.
Get out of your tent. This is my tent.
Yeah.
Zip it back up.
Sorry about that.
Zip the door.
All right, anything else?
That's a great memory.
Yeah. So
I wrote
rich.
a list, which means I've prepared.
He wrote a
Oh wow!
Is this for real right now?
Well, I told him he was going to be on episode 252. This is an important episode.
Oh, okay.
It's 254.
Oh.
Josh and Doug wrote a book, and McGill is extremely bitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at right now.
Okay.
What else is
Yeah.
there?
There's something about a comma.
Whoa.
Going back to that.
Okay.
Who's after who?
He's taking better show notes than we did when we did these shows.
McGill's been edited 3 times. Josh just got edited.
Oh.
Okay, for those of you guys that don't know, we've edited the show a few times, 4 times now. Because
What did he get edited for?
Swearing.
Made fun of a gentleman's last name. I have a really embarrassing question. And they're like, just like your last name.
We just had that in the last episode.
Feel like, yeah, what did get edited?
no, Matt he's the one that gets edited mostly because he says things sometimes that are very inappropriate.
I don't think "very" is the right word. We're just
Pretty much.
Words
play
are
safe.
Words are just placeholders for what?
No, they're
Wisdom.
what?
Ideas.
No, they're temporary idea holders. That's all words are.
Oh. Thanks for clearing that up.
Totally
Save it for the
arbitrary.
calendar. All right, anything else? What else is on your list?
Josh is the host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now
That's-
here's the
that's
story
right.
for our friends that don't know this. Josh is speaking somewhere that I'm speaking at, and I look at his bio, and it says Josh Griffin, high school pastor, Saddleback Church, host of the Download Youth Ministry web show.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Still am.
And you
Still
didn't
am.
say anything to him. We waited to confront him,
Still-
confrontation, if you will, on the podcast.
I'm still the host. I've just chosen not to pick this battle right now. So, politically savvy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have prepped the show one time when I was gone, right?
Really good show.
Really
Yeah,
good
but
show.
we just thought we had to confront him on that he tried to pad his bio. That's so.
It was a pretty sad bio at the time, so I have like, I don't know.
I'm the host of the award-winning Download Youth Ministry show. What else is going on?
Jake Rootbar just left. He took
Jake,
job.
sorry about
Satellite
Good friend. Gone.
Yeah, Jake's gone. He was good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moment of silence for
Okay,
Jake.
next question. Here.
All right. Speaking of last names, Eric, would you take the microphone to that young lady in the back who's wearing short pants and looks like she's hiding behind her hand? She has why we go to her, Josh, you just came from Louisville. You were the MC at a D6 conference.
Yeah, I was the host,
which
of
is
another thing.
That was
The
legitimate.
D6 conference.
And
Yeah, Louisville, yeah.
Tell the podcast story there.
Met a guy. This was a really
This is
great
a great
moment.
story.
He came up to me, said, "Thank you so much for the podcast. I love watching
Thank you
the
for
show.
being the host.
Thank you for hosting it so magically over the years. You do such a wonderful job of prepping." And I just said, "Thank you." Felt right. And then he said, "I'm in youth ministry today because of this show." And he talked about a question that he wrote in, which was one of those, "Please don't use my name." And so I can't share his name now. But he said, "I'm ready to quit. I'm frustrated. I'm tired.
You don't remember his name.
I'm done." I could prove you that I remember his name, but I
Tell it to me.
no. But anyhow,
Fight that battle.
he said, "I'm in." He said, I really want to now. I really want to. He said, "I'm in
You
youth
got that
ministry."
rollover thing
He
down
said
so
you
well.
You talked about it on the show, and then you posted it on the blog. And I was contacted by people. I was encouraged, loved, got a mentor, and God's put us in a great ministry today. I would not have survived that season without him. It's very cool.
Wow.
Tears in his eyes, emotion. It was an awesome moment.
Now the question is, I'm looking back at Jana. Jana's not even paying attention.
Why should she?
Jana,
She's just signed up for a
Jan-
master's degree from Azusa Pacific University.
Right. Free information.
Jana used to say this was a waste of time to be on the show.
Look,
Yeah.
people are entering the kingdom of heaven because of this show.
Well, we can take partial credit at least, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that he's got
saying no?
evangelism as a part of his ministry. and
Thank
that's-
you. You don't think when we get to heaven there's going to be Ray Bolt singing a song and us walking in? Thank you for Ray Bolt. Oh, you don't know Ray Bolts?
No.
Great, maybe the great. Do you guys know Ray Bolts? They know Ray Bolts.
What are
You're
you
welcome.
talking about?
Podcast trivia. Here it is. Podcast trivia for a National Youth Workers Convention. You might even have a shot at this because I think it's early on.
True or false?
There was
Josh was homeschooled.
some Christian singer who's very famous who I said
Oh wow!
He had his hand up
Wow.
first.
Yeah. Were you gonna say? What were you gonna say? Jeremy Camp. You got it right here.
Oh, that is incredible.
That is
Man,
good.
There you
For
go.
those of you,
Do you remember his picture? The one thing that I made fun of on that picture? That would be extra, super
Wow.
extra credit.
I don't remember this. What was Jeremy
Find
Camp?
out.
I remember.
What's your name? Brighton. Okay, cool. No, that was it. Brighton.
I just wanted
That's
to.
all I
I mean, with
wanted
all
to
that
know.
effort, I felt like I should at least hold it out.
Here's the finish the question. Somebody was talking about Jeremy Camp, and I said, I've never heard of him. I don't know his music. I know. So that was it.
Uh-huh.
But
He's not a Christian.
Hey, let's reach one more with the show right now.
That's right. Doug. Do you
Another
want
one.
to come across the line?
The only Christian music I listen to is Tim Timmons. Download his album.
There you go.
Right now.
A striper?
No.
Ray Bolts.
Supertones.
Thank you for giving me the Lord.
No.
There's
There's no such thing as Christian music. There's just
Christian lyrics.
Lyrics are
there.
just temporary idea holders.
I don't really understand why that's so funny.
I just totally got myself right there.
Perfect.
Hey, Josh, you know, when we were introduced, we were talking about, we were introduced as an award-winning show. Do you want to let the people know that...
One time, I'm actually crying a little bit right now. One time we got an award from a magazine that no longer exists, and it said, it's the best youth ministry show in the world. And we were the only one at the time, but
Yeah.
we won. We won.
We
were the
rode
number
that
one.
horse.
No, it wasn't a youth ministry show. It wasn't... Well, it was a leadership show or something like that. We should ask this guy. Have we not won
We
the
weren't
award
award
yet?
winning yet.
We won the award?
Take that.
Oh,
We beat
wow.
out a Catholic podcast?
Runner up.
I just want to let everybody know that Eric Upton has just been released from the APU Masters program. And
Wait a minute, was that comment from him?
You're getting to C in my class. Yeah. Hey, if you are still listening at home, and you are going to the Atlanta National Youth Workers Convention, and you are a DYM podcast person,
Atlanta or Nashville?
Atlanta. We do this every time.
Oh.
The one that you're not going to go to, the one you've bailed on, the one you've got out of, the one you
Got
say,
out of.
I won't be needed. You should see that you guys, you got the most pitiful, oh, if I had my computer, I'd read it.
You could. You could read the whole thing.
Matt goes,
Goodness
because I'm not
gracious.
going to be, because I'm not teaching a seminar, here it is, this is true.
Okay,
Because
that's-
I'm not teaching a seminar, I don't think I'm going to be missed if I don't go to Atlanta.
It was that email was in that tone too.
It was
Totally right.
total whiny, like I don't want to fly all the way to Atlanta just to do the podcast if I'm not
Yeah,
teaching.
I don't want to fly there for 10 hours. I would be there for 10 hours.
Look at
And
the
then-
10 hours
joy that
in
you
Liz.
brought these people
Oh,
tonight.
Look at how many people have come to the Lord tonight. Because
Atlanta,
So many
Atlanta,
people.
we're going to have APU is going to buy pizza,
Oh,
About time.
and they're actually giving away
If they buy lasagna, I'm
Let's
done.
not talk about that.
they're giving away a free master's program.
and a new
All right.
car. And a new car.
Anyway, here's the deal. If you would like to go to the Atlanta National Youth Workers Convention in November, sign up and use the code DYMATL14. DYMATL14. You get $50 off. Okay, $50 off. If you're already in Sacramento,
Basically a free master's.
all right. we've got to pretty much wrap up the show, even though I got questions from Isaac. Where's Isaac? All right,
Let's do a
Isaac.
speed round. Let's knock out 3 questions in a sentence. Ready? Go.
So Matt's
Because
not
life
answering
is that
basics.
easy. No,
So Matt's
Josh,
disqualified because it's a...
Josh, you're not the host. Did we ever get the microphone back to her? Okay, let's down. You have to stand up, introduce yourself, and tell the story.
What's her name?
I don't know.
Okay, my name is Casey, and I'm from Washington State.
Casey from Washington State.
Yeah, we're actually, our whole core team and youth ministries, core group of leaders, were introduced to y'all by our youth pastor. And he was so excited to share with us that he had sent in a question to you guys, and you guys read it on your podcast. Can you believe it?
Yes.
So he
Well,
showed
we do
it
that
to us.
every week.
I know, but it was his.
8 to 10.
It was his. It was special.
And the
Personal.
special thing about it was that he said that it was from Ryan P. Okay, what you don't know is that his last name is Pot, and you have to be careful about whenever you say that in Washington State now, because that's legal. And so y'all know him as Ryan P., but we know him as Pastor Ryan Pot. So I just had to share that with you.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Okay.
Pot is the lowest hanging fruit on the humor tree. Katie, how you doing tonight?
Great.
You're kind of quiet. You're not normally this quiet.
She's had some pivotal comments, though.
It's really hard to get a word in edgewise with you guys. It's very
Oh,
normal.
now is the time you're
Jana, you available? tap in right now.
Yeah, Jana, are you available?
All right, before we shut this thing down, because we're usually at the time that we normally like to cut
I
it
say
off.
we go for another couple hours. Talk about
And we're back. All right. Welcome back, everybody.
We just had to edit that. We're at a live show in
If you were
Sacramento.
wondering what happened, only these elite few will know what just happened.
All right.
But wow, just
Parker, I'm
wow.
very serious about that. Make a note on
Yeah,
that.
That's serious about. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, God.
That is embarrassing. We might get kicked out of this.
Okay, Eric, get the microphone out. Any last minute
Spontaneous.
questions? The ones you sent in, I promise we will read them on the show. Josh sent one in. Clayton, we read yours, right? Clayton?
Yeah, Clayton. He's back getting his master's degree.
He's back.
No, we
Some
didn't read his,
pizza.
but we will read his.
Okay.
Dave Campbell will read yours next
don't read my
show.
name.
Phil Ball will read your show. Bobby Pace will read your show. Who, by show of hands, who has had a question read on the show?
Awesome.
Really?
That's cool. Yeah, today. Congratulations for yours. That's all. That's a lot.
That wasn't a lot.
We do that
It was
every
like
week.
6.
You know what? Whoever's listening to this has no idea how many it was. They also have no idea what Matt said.
Yeah, that's inappropriate. All right, before we close this thing down, anybody have a thought, question, comment, gesture, rude remark that they would like to be on show 254?
You could be forever immortalized right now.
Anyone? All right, Nate Sam now.
Hustle,
It's
Eric.
Nate, wait till the microphone gets there, Nate. This is Nate Sam, who does a lot of our graphics on...
It's Nate Sam's.
We're back.
And we're back. All right.
I never went
It's a
anywhere.
night of 2 edits. Hey, everybody, the biggest DYM fan. Who is it? Let me see. Why?
Wow, he's the
Why?
tallest.
He's the tallest. The tallest.
He's the tallest.
You've already won stuff, though. You've already won
He's a
stuff.
big,
give him this
big
mic.
fan.
Well,
though.
here's the
You
deal.
don't
Do
have
you want to
to
do
back
this? Here. I'm gonna play Let's Make a Deal with you.
She's
You
the
won.
biggest.
Hang on a sec. You won a student leadership conference. Okay, Jana, do we have student leadership conference brochures here on the back table?
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we do. All right. Grab a student leadership conference brochure. We were doing one in California. Josh, where else? Granger, Indiana.
Indiana and Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah, this
back to
this
Maryland.
summer. And he won a free one.
East Coast
but
right
he
there?
can't, he can't go. He can't go. So here's what you can do.
We should do one in Nashville.
Atlanta.
Is if you want to give your one away, you can give it to 2 people.
What?
2 free people.
Oh, just like Jesus multiplying the fishes and the loaves.
Okay.
There's going to be 12 registrations left over. It's going to be beautiful.
That's good.
Bible humor.
Thank
Got
you.
it.
I thought it was 7 baskets.
All right.
Oh, you want to
Who's the biggest DYM fan? And tell me why you're the biggest DYM fan.
There's
107.
Do we have any? Here we go. Do we have any DYM legacy members / early adopters?
Okay. Wow.
Okay, if you're a DYM, remind me your name because you were in our first 2 years and you were in my marriage.
I'm just going to go to my email. This is really...
Amanda, it's all yours. It's all yours. Take the YS.
That's the student leadership thing?
No, that was a download card. Downloading 6 free products from our primary sponsor,
Use
Use
Specialties.
Specialties. Which seems like this show was really sponsored by APU because anybody that brings us food.
They're the primary sponsor.
They win.
But it was just cookies, though.
What do you mean just cookies?
I mean, where's the
Did you
pizza?
try one of the cookies?
Are they good?
They're really good.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to eat one and get fat.
All right, that's the show. We love you guys. God bless you. We're closing. If you want to stay around, you all can stay around. But we're gonna.
The three of us will see you next year. We're excited about that.
Oh, moment of silence. Seriously,
man.
I think I could Skype in from Pismo Beach. Don't you think? Yeah, we'll see.
I don't.
You know,
Technology.
Pismo's close to Oxnard.
Hey, is anybody?
It is.
Is anybody?
Is it? I have no
Okay,
idea.
let's
It is.
ask the electrician. Can he Skype in? Will it work? No.
Oh, wow.
He's right. It's the hard truth. Yeah. It's true. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, let's
You
close
guys
the
right
show.
now?
People listening from iTunes and our
Yeah,
They're
they
already
quit.
Let's close over here. Let's close over here.
Just the three of us.
Just three. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
All right. See you
Low
guys
to the
next
top.
time.
Hey, Matt, we'll edit that. We'll edit that part out. No,